most of you have probably seen that the New York Times has endorsed Elizabeth Warren for president, along with another, really exciting politician, Amy Klobuchar. The one who's passed so much great legislation. She's really getting massive crowds. They've endorsed her as well. Now, I'm going to take the chance in this video to explain why the New York Times endorsing someone like Elizabeth Warren fundamentally shows that she is way, way different to Bernie Sanders, who obviously was not endorsed by the New York Times, and I doubt will be endorsed by any corporate media outlet. Even if he wins the nomination and goes up against Trump, I feel like he won't be endorsed. So let's get into it, right? Elizabeth Warren, and what a lot of people say about her, is that her and Bernie Sanders are so similar. They fight for the same issues. They believe in the same policies. All these different things. So if you're a true progressive, why wouldn't you just vote for Elizabeth Warren? Because she's about, nearly 7 years younger. She's a woman. I guess, they're good reasons if you're supposed to believe in equality. So because they're so similar, you should just vote for Elizabeth Warren. Now, I think obviously being endorsed by a corporate news outlet pretty much shows they're not similar. So Bernie Sanders, his whole thing is he's going to have a political revolution. He wants to fundamentally change the way America has been run and is going to be run in the future. He wants to take on corporations. He wants to take on corporations' stranglehold on the media, including things like the New York Times. He wants to take on the military-industrial complex. He wants to take on the pharmaceutical companies and the banks. And what I think the establishment and establishment media believe is that he will actually try and do these things. So we can't endorse Bernie Sanders because he says these things and he's pretty genuine. So we don't want to lose our jobs. We don't want to lose our influence. So we're never going to endorse someone like Bernie Sanders. Now, to the people who think, well, Elizabeth Warren is the same. She says all the same things that you've just listed. Well, does she really? She's flip-flopped loads on Medicare for all. She didn't even mention it in the last debate, I'm pretty sure. She also is unwavering in her support for Israel, which is disturbing. Her foreign policy is extremely similar to most centrist Dems. She voted for Trump's military budget back in 2018, or the vote was 2017, and I think the budget was passed in 2018. So she's a lot more for the status quo than you would think. And now we see all this stuff with Bernie and, her throwing him under the bus because apparently he said a woman can't be president. And Bernie said that because he obviously doesn't like women. Well, Warren threw him under the bus there. So she's playing the dirty political game. So you can't really trust her. Add into the fact that she was a Republican until she was in her 50s. Add into the fact that she has lied about things like being native and everything, and she's used it as part of her political campaigns in the past. Can you really trust her? And can you really trust her when she says she is going to do some good things? Like, she is going to take on the banks. But at the same time, she's not the same as Bernie Sanders. And the New York Times endorsement just proves that without, a shadow of a doubt. Elizabeth Warren says she's a capitalist to her bones. I don't trust anyone who says that because capitalism is founded on exploitation. That is the ideology, because there's always a winner and a loser. And my problem with that as well is in terms of global capitalism, the reason America and Britain and countries like France and loads of Western countries, the reason why they are so wealthy is because of global capitalism, where the French, the British, the Americans are the winners at the expense of their former colonies, at the expense of the poor parts of the world, which are usually not white. So there is a big racist component to capitalism as well. And then if you take it in terms of America, if you're a capitalist to your bones, why would you want to reform healthcare? That is a capitalist system working in practice. Do you know what I mean? That's what a capitalist would believe in, wouldn't they? The American style of healthcare, because that's a capitalist system. So yeah, that's my problem with Elizabeth Warren in general. But that just, for me, are a lot of reasons why the New York Times don't see her as a threat, because they're an arm of the establishment. They're an arm of the status quo. Newspapers are set up to project the views of billionaires, to influence people's thinking. It's, in a lot of ways, it's brainwashing. And we saw that stuff with Sinclair Media in America. And they're all reading off the same script, which is probably approved by the people at the top, who are the only people they answer to is the billionaire owners of these things, or the billionaire shareholders. So that's the problem. when a corporate-owned media outlet which has endorsed war after war, which has endorsed centrist after centrist Democrat, which gives voice to awful people in their opinion section, when they endorse someone for president, you cannot trust them to bring about structural change. Now, I think, like I'm saying in conclusion, this proves Warren and Bernie aren't the same. Because can you imagine the New York Times endorsing Bernie Sanders as president at this point? Can you imagine that? And that, they don't trust Warren to go through these things. And I don't blame them. She's flip-flopped on a lot of stuff, but then she's not even strong on things like foreign policy. She has flip-flopped on Medicare for all, which should be such a simple concept when the most of Western Europe and Scandinavia and even poor countries like Cuba have had socialised medicine for decades and decades. 1948, Britain got the NHS, but Warren can't even commit to that. So again, it just shows when corporations are donating to your campaign, when corporate media is backing you, like CNN, like the New York Times, that shows that they're comfortable with you being president. You're just going to be an extension of the Clinton years, of the Obama years. You're going to be this centrist, neoliberal, president, which is compatible with a lot of Republican thinking as well, because in the UK, we've had people like Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, but because they were neoliberal centrists, pretty much they just did a version of what the Tories did, but just a bit more humane and not as extreme. Sorry if you can hear a dog barking there. So that is my problem with Warren. I'm going to end it there before the dog starts going a bit more mental. If you want to follow me on social media, at The Cavanacle, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Follow me on Reddit as well, just u/TommyCahill1995. Also follow the subreddit, which is just r/The Cavanacle, and we've had a lot of people joining recently, so come and join that. Check out my Patreon in the description, check out my WordPress. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and shut up, you stupid dog. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.